All right, well, let's get into some helpful hints for people listening that want to improve their sales. And this is something, like I mentioned, we actually purchased your course. We had our salespeople go through it, and I went through the whole course myself. And something interesting, and you said to me in the sales process is like there's a lot of people that teach sales, and there's a lot of different ways to consume it. And one thing that you said was like you can go through and research all the different ways, but what you said rang true to me is like you have all the information, and I really, after going through it, I think you were 100% truthful there. It's like all the basic and even further than basic sales information is in your program. And one of the challenges we had putting all the cards on the table, we've had this conversation already, is you personally connecting with our specific sales team was a little bit of a miss. But in general, like, I really enjoyed listening to your content, and I took a lot of notes, and I think I took a lot away from it. But so and what really got me was like how you handle objections, and not having any classic sales training. That's really not my job on the business, is actually being face-to-face sales. I go on a high level, talk to them, make sure the food's on point and they know the story of our family and our catering business. But actually closing people and handling objections is not something I had a lot of experience with. Can you talk a little bit about some, typical objections that you hear, and like, I have to think about it, or let me go talk to my wife, or something like that, and kind of what your psychology is and thought process as you get through some of those objections?
For sure. So there's what I like to call the objection handling formula, is kind of my name for my process that you would end up following, or my formula rather. But anytime that you're hearing customer resistance, and by the way, for the rest of you listeners that might not even be in sales, this could be getting out of a speeding ticket. I've used this at restaurants when I ask for a bottle of wine and they're like, hey, we're out. Mm-hmm. Anytime you meet some type of resistance with any other human being, I follow the same exact process. The first step is an acknowledgement. I completely understand. I get it. I got it, whatever. And this is useful because it allows you to quickly say something back and have a response. Mm-hmm. I always like to use the analogy of, if I ask Duce what 2 + 2 is, and you're like, 4? Like, that's correct, but I'm not going to feel like 100% certain that you're certain that that was the correct answer, because there was so much time there. Mm-hmm. So when you're in a sale, particularly, and there's money on the line, and, somebody's thinking about doing something with you and they say, it's too expensive, and you're sitting there processing that information and finally then say something else, whatever you're going to say is not going to sound that confident. And at the ground floor of sales is the transfer of confidence and certainty. And so being able to just have at least something that you can throw out there quick by saying, I completely understand, will put you in a pretty good spot. And also, you'll be fulfilling your buyer's basic human desire of being understood. Everybody wants to be understood.
Sure.
So that's also helpful for anybody listening. If you're in marriage or you have a partner and there's like a little bit of a fight going on, you can usually kind of subdue things by just giving a nice, strong acknowledgement that you understand what's happening. From there, all you're doing is you're basically repeating back to somebody whatever the objection was, and then you're transitioning away from that objection with a question. So, the last time I went out to a steakhouse, we were trying to get a 2014 bottle of Jordan Cabernet. It's one of my favorite bottles for not any other real reason other than the fact that it's named after me, but not technically. But the waitress says, hey, I don't think we have any. Now, most people can take that at face value, go back to the menu, and maybe pick something else or get an alternative. I'm really not that guy. So what I would say, and what I said to the waitress is, hey, I completely understand that you appear to be out of 2014 Jordan Cabernet. I get it. It's a good bottle of wine, and obviously I couldn't be the only person that would want one. However, could you do me a solid, since it's date night here with my wife, and we don't get a lot of these because we obviously have, kids and businesses, could you do me a solid and go see if there's maybe one laying around in the cellar? And sure enough, she walked away, she checked, and she came back with a 2014 bottle of Jordan Cabernet. And that would be making a sale. I got what I wanted, and instead of just being obnoxious or confrontational or not getting my way, I just follow the same little process of I completely understand whatever the objection is, and then transitioning away from that objection with a question. So any of the sales objections out there, I don't know if there's anything specific you want me to.
Well, let's play through a scenario. I thought this would be kind of. So here's the scenario. We're in the tasting room. Our sales team had a bride and groom. They just tasted the food. Everything was fantastic. The night before, they were at another catering company, and their proposals, like $3,000 less. So I'm the groom. We just had the food. You're trying to close the deal and get me to sign the contract. When I sign, I have to deposit 30%. Okay, but okay. So you go for the sale.
So you would be telling me, hey man, we love your food over there at Sweet Baby Ray's Catering, but we could save $3,000 and we could go to whatever Chuck's Chop House for food. Correct? That's the objection.
Yeah.
Cool. So I would just say, hey, I completely understand that you could save a couple of bucks and get catering done probably just about anywhere else in Chicago. We understand that usually we're a little bit higher in price and, we love it here. I'm curious, and I'm not going to say that we could, I'm not going to say that we should, or that we even would, but if we were able to be the same exact price as Chuck's Chop House that you mentioned, out of curiosity, who would you rather cater your wedding?
We'd rather go with Sweet Baby Ray's for sure.
Well, I love to hear that, and I appreciate that. I'll make sure that my boss, Duce, knows that you said that. Out of curiosity, why would you choose us if for some reason we were the same price as Chuck's Chop House?
Well, the food was great, and we really liked working with our salesperson, Mr. Stupar.
I love that. We obviously take a great amount of pride in the food that we make here, and we've been doing it for a long time. And, of course, we take great pride in our sales professionals over here. They're very proud of what we do. Is there any other reason why you would maybe choose us versus Chuck's Chop House if we were somehow the same price?
All things being equal, we just had a better experience so far. We thought the food was better, and we heard a lot of good reviews, and everything seemed to make sense except for, man, that $3,000 could go a long way on our honeymoon or some other place.
Yeah, no, I get it. And that's really great feedback, and I'm really happy to hear that. Based on some of the things that you liked most about us over here at Sweet Baby Ray's, I'm assuming that you can probably see why we charge just a little bit more than some of the other catering companies out here. And, Duce, I want to ask you straight up, man to man, have you ever truly regretted paying a little bit more than you could have for a better product, a better service, or a better experience?
No, I think, what the problem is like, I relate it to when you're buying a TV. You never say you want your TV to be smaller. So when you're said and done. So I understand what you're saying. That makes sense. I don't know how I'm gonna come up with that $3,000.
Well, if it's a pricing issue, that would be my fault that we don't put something here together. Pricing is the easiest part of what we can do. What I can do is I can either make some changes to the menu, or we can keep the same menu and the same experience. And what I would ask is the $3,000, when you say that that's a good chunk of money in a decision right here, are you saying that mostly because if you were going to do this, it would basically be irresponsible or take additional food off your table? Or is it just a little bit outside of what you were hoping to spend? Or are you really just kind of complaining like I do at Starbucks, paying too much for a coffee, but I do it anyway?
I think it's just, it was outside my comfort zone. It was just a little bit more than I was planning on spending.
You know what?
Honest answer.
You know what, Duce? Welcome to Sweet Baby Ray's Catering. 100% of our customers have never thanked us for running their credit cards for any of the things that we provide because they don't even remember doing it. They walk up to us after the event, after the wedding ceremony, when all the guests are full and everyone enjoyed that better experience that you just mentioned that you valued. tell you what, are you going to remember the 3,000 or are you going to remember all of the guests being full on the dance floor?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Let's go ahead and knock this thing out. All we need is a little deposit. What credit card do you want to put that on?
Yeah, no, I think that's so great for people to hear because it is just keep going back to you're having them say why they want to go with you. And I think that there's so much value in that. And I want people to hear and understand that kind of thought process of this, of how sales actually works. If they're telling you, oh, you're great, you're better in every way except for the price. And then the best part is when you say, well, can't you understand why we're a little bit more expensive? So hopefully people take something away from that. I think it's very valuable. And, you know, not that we're here just to plug you, but I'm interested in helping other people. And I say, can you explain a little bit more about your sales academy? Because I think it would be valuable for other people if they are interested. So why we went with the sales academy is because our team is great at what they do, but only one or two of them had any sort of sales training in the past. Like a lot of them, they know catering and they know food and stuff like that, but they never had some of this classic sales information and training. So can you talk a little bit about how the program works?
Yeah, so I do several things. The thing that you and your team ended up doing was our online sales academy. And the easiest way to say what it is, it's an evergreen and growing library of everything sales, soup to nuts. So some of you guys are out there making cold calls, trying to acquire new business. Some of you guys are handling inbound opportunities. Some of you guys are not doing any of those things because all you're doing is showing up to some type of appointment and presenting. Some of you guys have attention on follow-up. Some of you guys are hiring new employees or are a new employee and you're looking for just some quick start type of things that can have an impact on your sales. And that's exactly what it is. It's on-demand information. Unfortunately, it's not as entertaining as most what people watch on like Netflix, or else I'd be as rich as Netflix. But I make it as entertaining as I can from an educational standpoint, and that's exactly what it is. It's all the information that you don't already have from a product knowledge standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's something that was interesting to me, and I had a hard time wrapping my head around first. Is like, well, this guy has no idea about catering. How is he going to help my catering team sell catering? But sales is more about the psychology and the process, and kind of handling objections, and then building it around your specific, whether it's a service or product or whatever you're trying to sell. You can take the information in your program and kind of wrap it around those things.
Yeah, well, let me take that even one step further to bring an extra layer of value to your audience here. A lot of people don't really know what they sell. For instance, I talk to real estate people or whatever. They're like, I sell houses. I'm like, no, you don't. You sell square feet of memories. That's what a house actually is. So for all of you out there, maybe you're in the food industry, catering, a bit like Duce, you're not necessarily selling catering. One, you're selling time. Yeah, you're selling an experience. Yes, you're selling food. But what you're really selling is you're selling happy event attendees. That's what being full means, is like I'm satiated. I'm full. I'm not, sitting here hangry or pissed off. It allows people to break bread with one another. It allows them to have those intimate conversations that they otherwise wouldn't at a bar.
When we get a positive review, it seems to me that they're most excited to talk about is the amount of comments they got from their friends and family. Oh, that food was fabulous. We had such a great time. That was better wedding food than I've had ever, and that's what the feedback that we get. And, if they're transferring it third hand back to us again, they're excited to relay that information. So that tells me that means a lot to that person, that they're actually going through and telling us that. So you're
without a doubt
on the money there.
Without a doubt.
So what other, so we worked with you, we're a sales organization. What other type of companies have you worked with that have gone through your program that you've seen actually, like, this was a perfect fit? Like, is there a certain, what's your money group that really see a benefit with the type of sales training you do?
My favorite niche to work with, I'll work with anybody. I always like to say unless you sell to trees and animals, we can probably help you because that's all we're doing as salespeople is talking to other people. But if there was a niche and I had a gun to my head and it was like, you can only pick a specific industry or niche, I personally really enjoy working with anybody in the home services space. Doors, siding, windows, roofing, pest control, yada, yada. Usually it's pretty high ticket, most of that stuff. So usually every single opportunity in that industry is $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, sometimes $100,000 for a remodel or whatever. So there's usually a pretty significant chunk of money on the line. And when I am able to get involved, objections, closing, follow-up, creating a more unique sales experience, those people absolutely crush it. And that's really, really fun to watch. So that's the industry that I really enjoy working with because the results from those people are so great because they never do any sales training.
Yeah, right. They're raw, so you can help them
Right.
get to the next level. But I wanted to actually talk to you about the role in confidence with sales. I missed that question before.
That's
But
a good one.
Yeah, and I think you talk about it a lot in your program, and it just made all the sense to me. Can you give me your thoughts on why confidence is so important in the sales process?
Yeah. So, confidence, technically by like definition is something that comes from the source of knowing something to be true. So, like if I can't imagine like when I was younger and I was trying to get like a girl's phone number, it's like I wasn't very confident because I didn't know what was going to happen except for the fact that she was probably going to tell me, to go pound sand or that she has a boyfriend or whatever. So that reduces confidence. But if you knew for certain that you were approaching a girl and if you said, hey, what's your phone number? I'd like to take you out to Sweet Baby Ray's for dinner tonight. And you knew she was going to say yes, you'd be really confident. So in sales, confidence comes from knowing what to do next. I can't tell you how many times in my own life and how many people I've watched, stare at a phone before picking it up. It's like, what are you doing, dude? Like, if you were calling your mom, would it be this difficult? No. How come? Well, this is my mom, dude. I know what I would say to her. And like, I know she's going to be nice. And it's like, the outcome. Your mom is going to be nice. She's not going to pick up the phone and say, not interested, click. So figure out what are you going to say when somebody says, I'm not interested. Or the next time you're showing a bride and groom, your catering spread, the tasting, that they're probably going to complain about price or that they're going to shop around and look at a couple. What are you going to do when that happens? And once you have, a good strategy to follow, a good approach, you'll have full confidence because you'll know what's going to happen and what you're going to do about it if and when it happens.
That's one thing I liked about your program is you talked a lot about, like in the beginning, it wasn't super salesy. It was more about getting your mind right, making sure you're taking care of yourself, you're getting up early, you're working out, you look good. Like all that stuff is so important, not just in sales, but in anything. Like if you're feeling good about yourself, you can put yourself in the best place to do well at whatever you're trying to do. And I really appreciated all that information, and I think it's rings so true to me and how I'm working on myself, improving. I do the same thing, get up in the morning, go to the gym, take care of myself first so I can do what I need to do for my family and for my business.
For sure. I think a lot of people miss it. But if you can work on you, you are the thing that works on all the other things. So if you're in optimal condition and you're sharp and you're feeling good about yourself, you'll have a good day more often than you won't.
Yeah.